Good morning to Dr. Siegel and my fellow classmates. This is Joe Oliver here, and today I'm going to tell you about a role-playing scenario I not only developed but practiced last week in my classroom. My subjects for this role play were my senior aeronautics students who are about to learn to land the aircraft, and the role playing involves learning the different checkpoints in the traffic pattern, exactly where you need to do what. So first thing I did was set it all up before they got to class. There were two roles that the students could play. They could be an aircraft in the pattern, or there's only one air traffic controller. Also, there are several checklists, at least two that the students are going to need to use. For example, they have to complete the landing checklist. There's also a couple items they need to do prior to or during the touch and go, and I wrote these on the board to make it a little easier for them. Once I got the classroom set up and the students arrived, I kind of gave them a brief explanation of exactly what we'd be doing, and I used one student to go ahead and demonstrate what they will be doing themselves. November 312, clear left downwind. You're going to turn your downwind. Alright, then you're going to speed it up some. Once you get here, November 312, clear, touch and go. Once you get here, where I clear you for touch and go or not, you start your landing checklist and you start descending. Okay. Try to hold your hand up high. You start your descent, November 312. Fuel selector boat, mixture rich. You don't have to tell the controller that, you just say that in the cockpit, right? Fuel selector boat, mixture rich, flaps approach, and you're descending, right? Once you turn final, look at me, once you turn final, you're going to go full flaps, right? And then you touch down and you do the touch and go checklist and all of that. Once I felt that the students had enough demonstration, I designated a few positions and let them have a try at the role play.
November 231 clear for touch and go.
November 231 clear for touch and go.
November 123 turn left cross.
Full flaps. Fuel selector both. Mixture rich flap. App 0 down.
November 123 turn left downward.
Trim is neutral.
November
Full throttle. Flaps up.
Touch and go.
November 231 clear Gear for up. touch and go.
Fuel selector both. Mixture rich flap approach. November 231
full flaps.
turn left cross.
I hope everyone else is paying attention, because
Crossway.
you're going to have to be doing this soon for a test, right? So make sure you know the checkpoint.
November 123
what's
Trim
going on.
neutral. Full throttle.
November
Flaps up.
231 turn left down.
Gear up. November 231 turn left downwind.
November 213 turn left crosswind.
November 213 cleared left crosswind.
Turn neutral, full throttle.
November 213 turn left downwind.
November 123 clear, left downwind.
Alright, Tyler, you can take off. During the role play, they made many mistakes. However, they improved, and you can see that they were understanding exactly what was going on. This role play scenario lasted about 25 minutes. And the following day, the students and I, we sat down and we debriefed and spoke about the experience that we had, and any changes or recommendations we had for role playing this scenario in the future.
Well, I get to play the role of an air traffic controller, crashing airplanes and making sure that they perform touch and goes correctly.
What about you, Aaron? Did it meet your expectations?
It was very realistic for me to actually feel that I was in a little circle above the airport, learning all the different sayings and everything. So yes, it did meet my expectations.
Well, I felt that it was fun and it was a good learning experience.
Me too. What about you? How did you feel this affected your experience in Aero 3?
I felt that I can understand the pain of a controller's emotions.
Yes.
So Tina, what were some of the obstacles that you faced as being the air traffic controller?
Well, I get to experience to direct pilots to their destinations and tell them to land when directed. And it was painstakingly difficult, but I was able to manage through it.
What about you? What were your obstacles as a pilot?
Being stacked up because he wasn't fast enough to tell us where to go.
Did role playing as a pilot meet your expectations?
It did meet my expectations because now I know like what to do and what to expect from ATC.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Air Traffic Control. We owe you one.
That's a negative ghostwriter.
So Tino, how hard was it to be the ATC?
Well, then I gotta talk really, really fast like an auctioneer and direct pilots to their how to land and when to turn. So, and I was angry, they kept bumping into walls. I can imagine how painful was that. And I almost got this close into a crash, but everybody was safe.
Yeah, thanks.
Was it hard to like pick out when they were calling your
It
number?
actually was very hard because you'd have to repeat everything ATC said. So.
And the hard part.
I hated was actually doing the 360s for spacing, because you know, like every time I tried to do a touch and go, someone would be like, I don't know, like in front of me, and I just have to 360.
That's
What
because
is
you were going too fast and everyone else was slower, so you catch up to them and like bump them.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, is to be able to follow the traffic speed, because if you weren't, you would crash,
If you were too fast, you crashed into someone else.
and if
but
you were
if
too
you're
slow, someone would.
Yeah, I think you guys did a really good job. I was particularly impressed with Tino because I know I had a hard time doing the air traffic control portion at the time, at a certain period, and you guys were laughing at me.
Because you told me to land.
He's going to land on a
Twice.
touch and go.
Yeah, I meant the touch and go, but I think Tino handled the situation really well. And after, initially he had everybody kind of, too close to each other and bumping on the walls and stuff, but eventually he had it flowing pretty smoothly.
What was really confusing is when he would say clear for touch and go, I would come in for touch and go without saying the landing checklist. I would say, well, just to do it, the touch and go checklist. But then I realized after, a couple times doing that, I had to do the landing checklist or to do the touch and go.
How many people messed up the checklist? Everybody.
No, I didn't.
You didn't
Yes,
mess
you
up the
did.
Yeah, you
checklist?
did.
When did I mess up?
When you landed, when you're supposed to
Sometimes
touch
you wouldn't
and
even
go.
say it.
Yeah, he gave the full stop. Right, but let me tell you something.
You said land.
Listen, one thing you have to realize about air traffic control is that they are going to make mistakes. For example, air traffic control has had one airplane ready to take off and cleared another one to land, and the other one hasn't even started taking off yet. And yeah, one clipped the other. Air traffic control, they make mistakes, so you have to be diligent. You have to, just like when we were flying yesterday, the big picture was figuring out what's going on in the entire airspace around you, like a
Watch your
bubble.
surroundings.
Yeah, and when you're flying, you have to be like that, because if air traffic control make a mistake, you have to catch it, because air traffic control is on the ground in the tower, right? You in the air in an airplane with other airplanes, and you gotta be watching out for yourself, because they might fire the air traffic controller, but you're gonna be dead, right? And you're gonna lose your plane. So,
And be dead.
yeah, you know? So,
Lose-lose situation.
yeah, you kind of have to be ready for air traffic control to make a mistake and correct them.